What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the wild, wonderful, and sometimes terrifying world of Reddit. This platform is a treasure trove of human experience, from the heartwarming to the utterly bizarre. And trust me, we've scoured the darkest corners and the most upvoted threads to bring you 10 stories so crazy, you might just think they're fiction. But these all come straight from real Reddit users. Buckle up, because you're in for a ride. Our first story comes from the relationship subreddit, and it's a head-scratcher titled, My 28F Friend, 33M, invited me to visit him in Canada, and a week in, I still haven't seen him. Imagine this. You're online friends with someone for a while. You connect, you chat, sharing memes, late-night thoughts, and even intimate details about your lives. This particular friendship had blossomed over months, maybe even a year, and felt genuinely strong, even across continents. One day, your friend Mark extends a generous invitation to visit him in another country, in this case, Canada. He talks about showing you around his city, taking you to all the best spots, and finally getting to hang out in person. This Redditor, let's call her Sarah, was beyond excited. She'd always wanted to visit Canada, and the thought of exploring it with a good friend made the trip even more appealing. She carefully saved up, booked her flights, packed her bags, and made the long journey, filled with anticipation. But here's where things take a sharp turn into the twilight zone. Sarah lands, her phone buzzing with a message to Mark that she's arrived safely. She clears customs, catches a cab to the address he gave her, a modest apartment building in a bustling part of the city. She texts him again, "I'm here," and waits outside, suitcase in hand, a hopeful smile on her face. And then, silence. Minutes stretch into an hour. She tries calling him, but it goes straight to voicemail. Puzzled, she tries buzzing his apartment, but there's no answer. The initial confusion soon morphed into a gnawing anxiety. Had something happened? Was her phone just not working right? She checked into a nearby hotel, convinced she'd hear from him any minute. But days bled into a week. Each morning she'd wake up, check her phone with a jolt of hope, only to be met with the same crushing silence. Mark wasn't answering calls, texts, or any messages on social media. It was as if he had completely vanished off the face of the earth the moment she landed. Sarah was essentially stranded in a foreign country, thousands of dollars spent on accommodation and flights, all for a friend who seemed to have ghosted her without a trace. The sheer awkwardness and anxiety of being in a new country with no contact from the person who invited you is truly unsettling. The story unfolds with Sarah desperately trying to understand what's going on, reaching out to mutual online acquaintances, each unanswered message adding another layer of bizarre mystery. What kind of friend invites someone across borders only to seemingly disappear? The internet had a field day with this one, offering theories ranging from a sudden, severe illness to cold feet, to something far more sinister, like a bizarre social experiment. The Redditor never posted a definitive update, leaving the internet to forever wonder about the fate of the vanishing Canadian friend. All right, prepare yourselves for a story that has become a legendary piece of Reddit lore. If you haven't heard of the pointy poop knife, well, consider yourself initiated. This tale emerged from the depths of the confession subreddit and is as simple as it is unforgettable. The Redditor, who we'll call **OP, original poster, confessed that growing up, their family had a designated knife, solely for the purpose of cutting particularly stubborn bowel movements that wouldn't flush. Yes, you heard that right, a poop knife. The OP described it with a casualness that was truly astounding, recounting how it just sat there, in a specific spot near the toilet, a permanent fixture in their bathroom. It wasn't something spoken about in hushed tones or with embarrassment. It was simply a tool for a specific job, as normal as a plunger or a toilet brush. Their parents, siblings, and even extended family who visited seemed to accept it as an unremarkable part of their household. This was so normalized within their family that it wasn't until the Redditor reached their late teens and visited a friend's house for a sleepover that the true bizarre nature of their family's custom came to light. The friend's toilet was struggling with a particular obstruction. Instinctively, the OP asked, "Do you need the poop knife?" The immediate, confused, and utterly horrified reaction from their friend was the moment of revelation. It was then, and only then, that the OP realized this was not, in fact, standard household practice across the globe. The sheer nonchalance with which this confession was delivered, the utter normalcy it held for the OP, and the collective shock and horror of the Reddit community made this story an instant classic. Thousands of comments poured in, a mix of disbelief, morbid curiosity, and others sharing their own shockingly similar family quirks. It's one of those things you read and then can't quite believe exists in the world. A dedicated utensil for that. It's both disgusting and darkly hilarious, a testament to the weird and wonderful, and sometimes profoundly gross things that can become normalized within the confines of a family. Next up, we delve into the age-old conflict between relationships and, well, anything else that might steal someone's attention. This story from the Am I the Asshole? Subreddit titled, My Boyfriend Turned Down Sex for His Game, sparked a fierce debate that echoed across the internet. We all have hobbies, right? Things we're passionate about, a way to unwind after a long day or connect with friends online. But what happens when those passions seem to take precedence over intimacy in a relationship, especially during moments when connection is desired? In this scenario, the Redditor, a young woman, detailed an evening where she was feeling particularly amorous and wanted to connect with her boyfriend. She approached him, perhaps with a suggestive touch or a playful word, making her intentions clear. However, the boyfriend was deeply engrossed in an online multiplayer game. He wasn't just casually playing, he was, according to the Redditor, in the middle of a crucial raid, a competitive match, or a high-stakes team event. His response? A polite, or perhaps not so polite, depending on your perspective, decline, stating he couldn't stop right then because he was in the middle of something important or can't pause an online game. The girlfriend was understandably hurt and felt rejected. The internet was immediately divided on this. Some commenters argued fiercely that everyone is entitled to their leisure time and shouldn't be pressured into intimacy, and that an online game for some is a serious commitment. Others felt that repeatedly prioritizing a game, no matter how important, over a partner's emotional and physical advances signals a deeper, more troubling issue within the relationship, suggesting a lack of respect or a concerning level of addiction. Was the boyfriend being an unreasonable gamer, or was the girlfriend being overly demanding? The story highlights the delicate balance between individual interests and the needs of a partnership, and how seemingly small incidents can reveal larger disconnects, sparking arguments about priorities, communication, and the very foundation of a relationship. It's a modern dilemma that many can sadly relate to. Our next story takes a dark and uncomfortable turn, exploring the complexities and potential pitfalls of family dynamics, particularly when boundaries are blurred or outright ignored. This tale comes from the Am I the Asshole? Subreddit and involves a very unusual offer. The title itself hints at the profound drama and discomfort. Pregnant wife's sister offered to sleep with me. Asterisk, asterisk. Imagine the scenario: your wife is pregnant, a joyous and incredibly vulnerable time for your growing family. It's a period of anticipation, hormonal changes, and planning for a new chapter. Amidst this sensitive and intimate period, your wife's sister, someone who should be a supportive and trusted family member, approaches you with a truly shocking proposition. She explicitly offers to sleep with you. The Redditor who posted this was understandably bewildered, disgusted, and deeply disturbed by the encounter. He described the moment with a sense of utter disbelief, struggling to comprehend why his sister-in-law would even consider such an act, let alone voice it. The reasons behind the sister-in-law's offer were incredibly unclear in the initial post, adding to the unsettling nature of the situation. Was she trying to test him? Was she struggling with her own issues? Perhaps jealousy or a twisted sense of connection? Did she genuinely believe this was an acceptable thing to do? The internet was aghast, with almost unanimous agreement that the sister-in-law's behavior was wildly inappropriate, a massive betrayal of trust, and a disgusting overstep that threatened to shatter the family. This story dives into the murky waters of family boundaries, respect, and the potential for shocking and inappropriate behavior within even the closest of circles, leaving readers to wonder how the Redditor navigated such a profoundly uncomfortable and potentially devastating situation without destroying his marriage and family ties. Now we move to a story that showcases the power of the internet to uncover secrets and the often painful realities of infidelity. These stories pop up frequently on Reddit, particularly in the Best of Redditor updates, subreddit, and often follow a dramatic arc of suspicion, meticulous discovery, and gut-wrenching confrontation. Picture this. A Redditor, let's call them asterisk asterisk, Alex asterisk asterisk, starts noticing subtle, yet increasingly unsettling changes in their partner's behavior. Perhaps late-night messages accompanied by a hurried glance at their phone, hushed phone calls taken in another room, or a sudden, fierce protectiveness over their device. A nagging feeling starts to grow, a tiny seed of doubt planted firmly in their mind, growing into an unbearable ache. Fueled by this deepening suspicion, Alex might begin to dig, starting with innocent observations. Maybe they notice unfamiliar names popping up repeatedly on social media feeds, or a new, unexplained routine has emerged. The story builds as Alex, consumed by a need for truth, gathers evidence. This could involve finding a suspicious receipt, noticing a strange scent, or even in some cases, discovering burner phones or secret social media accounts. What makes these stories so compelling is the often ingenious and sometimes ethically questionable ways people uncover the truth, acting like amateur detectives, piecing together fragments of information until the full, devastating picture emerges. We then see the initial shock and disbelief as the reality sets in, the agonizing attempts to process the betrayal, the climactic confrontation with the cheating partner, and the often heartbreaking or empowering aftermath of their decision to stay or leave. These stories serve as a stark reminder of the complexities and vulnerabilities inherent in romantic relationships in the digital age, and the profound impact of trust and betrayal. Sometimes crazy stories on Reddit aren't about personal drama, but about unexpected acts of, well, let's call it creative problem solving and getting a little bit of petty revenge. This next tale falls into that category, a story of accidental activism and sticking it to the man in a very specific way. Imagine dealing with a particularly annoying or bureaucratic entity, maybe your homeowners association, a ridiculously strict landlord, a giant corporation with confusing policies, or a frustrating customer service department that seems designed to make your life miserable. This Redditor found themselves in such a situation, facing what they felt was an unreasonable, unfair, or just plain stupid demand or rule. Instead of simply complaining, yelling, or giving up in frustration, they decided to employ a strategy of meticulous, almost absurd compliance, leading to what Reddit famously calls malicious compliance. Asterisk, asterisk. The Redditor didn't fight the rule, they embraced it. Every single word of the demand was followed to the letter, every obscure clause in the policy adhered to with painstaking detail, often to the point of creating far more problems and headaches for the very entity they were trying to comply with. For instance, if they were told to move something from one spot to another, they didn't just move it, they moved it to the only other spot that technically fit the rule, even if it completely blocked a walkway or violated a common sense understanding. The beauty of these stories lies in the cleverness of the approach and the often hilarious, unintended, and utterly deserved consequences for the other party. It's a classic David and Goliath scenario, played out not through defiance, but through the precise, almost legalistic adherence to the rules, often resulting in a satisfyingly chaotic and embarrassing outcome for the one who made the ridiculous demand. It's a reminder that sometimes the best way to fight back is to do exactly what you're told, but with a devious smile. Our next story ventures into the darker side of online interactions, a chilling tale that blurs the lines between the digital and the real, serving as a stark reminder to be cautious about who you connect with online. This one might make you think twice about accepting that next friend request. This Redditor shared a seemingly innocent online friendship that, over time, gradually took a sinister and deeply unsettling turn. What started as shared interests, friendly banter, and a comfortable rapport slowly morphed into something obsessive, demanding, and ultimately terrifying. The other person began demanding more and more of the Redditor's time and attention, exhibiting increasingly erratic, jealous, and controlling behavior. They might lash out if a message wasn't replied to immediately, or express intense possessiveness over the Redditor's online presence. Eventually, their online interactions started to bleed into the real world in truly unsettling ways. This could involve an incessant barrage of messages, including ones that suggested they knew the Redditor's routine or location, attempts to track their whereabouts through subtle digital clues, or even veiled threats that escalated in severity. The Redditor describes a growing sense of unease, then fear, as their virtual friend became a very real source of anxiety and dread. These stories are a stark reminder of the anonymity and potential dangers that can lurk behind online profiles, and how seemingly harmless connections can, with terrifying speed, escalate into real-life situations involving harassment, stalking, or worse. It highlights the critical importance of online safety, setting firm boundaries, and being acutely aware of red flags in digital relationships before they spiral out of control. Weddings. Supposedly the happiest day of someone's life. A culmination of love and commitment celebrated with friends and family. But as Reddit often proves, even the most carefully planned celebrations can go spectacularly, unforgettably wrong. Our next story involves a major breach of wedding etiquette, a moment so shocking it sent ripples of disbelief across the entire internet. The title itself says it all. My best man proposed at my wedding. Can you even imagine the scene? You're standing at the altar, heart pounding, about to exchange vows with the love of your life, surrounded by your closest friends and family, all eyes on you and your partner. The moment is perfect, filled with joy and solemnity, until your best man, the person you entrusted with being by your side, decides to steal the spotlight in the most egregious way possible. Whether it happened during his best man speech, just as the vows concluded, or some other pivotal moment, the sheer audacity of such a move is what makes this story so jaw-dropping. He kneels, pulls out a ring, and proposes to his own partner, effectively hijacking the entire ceremony and making it about him. The air must have gone out of the room, leaving a stunned silence before whispers and gasps erupted. It's a massive violation of social norms, a blatant act of attention-seeking, and an unforgivable show of disrespect that overshadows the actual couple's special day. The internet exploded with opinions on this one, with almost universal condemnation of the best man's behavior and profound sympathy for the bewildered, heartbroken couple whose biggest day was marred by such selfishness. It's a cautionary tale about knowing your place, understanding social graces, and respecting the sanctity of someone else's milestone moment, reminding us that sometimes even those closest to us can surprise us with their shocking behavior. Now, let's take a brief detour into the realm of the slightly spooky and the undeniably weird. This story comes from one of Reddit's more unusual corners, often appearing in subreddits dedicated to strange coincidences or unexplained phenomena, and involves haunted technology. This Redditor claimed to have purchased a piece of secondhand hardware, perhaps a vintage computer, a used smartphone, or some other electronic device with a mysterious past, only to discover that it seemed to come with a digital ghost. The haunting manifested in unsettling ways. The device might exhibit bizarre glitches that couldn't be explained by software bugs or hardware malfunctions. Strange messages might spontaneously appear on the screen, fragmented text that seemed to come from nowhere, or old, deleted files would reappear, sometimes even showing images or documents that the Redditor had no prior knowledge of. Even more unsettling, some Redditors reported their devices seemingly operating on their own to screens turning on in the middle of the night, cursors moving without input, or peculiar sounds emanating from the speakers when no applications were running. While skepticism is natural, and many explanations from technical errors to pranks were offered, the Redditors' detailed accounts of the eerie coincidences and the unexplainable occurrences often leave readers with a profound sense of unease. Are these simply elaborate hoaxes, complex technological malfunctions, or something truly unexplainable? These stories tap into our collective fascination with the unknown and the unsettling potential for our increasingly interconnected technology to hold secrets, echoes, or even spirits. Our final crazy Reddit story offers a captivating mix of surprise, unexpected fortune, and a healthy dose of what just happened. This tale often pops up in subreddits dealing with personal finance, family secrets, or unexpected windfalls, highlighting how life can throw you a curveball when you least expect it. Imagine receiving news completely out of the blue that you've inherited something from a distant relative you barely knew, or perhaps even a complete stranger whose name you'd never heard until that moment. The initial shock, followed by a surge of excitement and curiosity, would be immense. But what makes these Reddit stories truly crazy is often the unusual nature of the inheritance itself, or the bizarre and sometimes comical, sometimes frustrating conditions attached to it. Maybe it's not just a vast sum of money, but a vast sum of money that can only be accessed if you fulfill a series of eccentric tasks, like living in a remote cabin for a year or adopting 20 cats. Perhaps it's not money at all, but an incredibly unusual object with a mysterious history. An ancient, supposedly cursed artifact, a collection of bizarre taxidermied animals, or a crumbling old mansion rumored to be haunted. Or maybe the circumstances surrounding the inheritance are just plain odd, involving a clandestine lawyer, a secret will discovered in a forgotten attic, or a dramatic family revelation that accompanies the unexpected fortune. These stories highlight the unpredictable nature of life, reminding us that sometimes reality can be stranger, more surprising, and infinitely more complicated than any fiction. Wow, there you have it. 10 of the absolutely craziest stories Reddit has to offer. From bizarre family secrets to online mysteries and unbelievable acts, Reddit truly is a window into the fascinating and often unbelievable experiences of people around the world. Let me know in the comments below which of these stories you found the craziest, and if you have any wild Reddit tales of your own. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the internet's wildest corners. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.